Time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, they left with a $4.2 billion debt in 2011. That means, folks, the people in the state of Pennsylvania were left with a debt. Now, listen to what I'm saying, a $4.2 billion. That's what the Democrat Party left the Republican Party in 2011. And folks, what we're going to deal today, we're going to talk about facts, which sometimes are difficult things to understand. My guest today is the Secretary of Revenue, no stranger to the show, Dan Meuser, always here to explain what's going on. And remember, folks, I'm talking about facts. But let me just give you an example, folks, of what's happening where you start throwing mud and politics into a system that they're trying to run as a business. I get these emails from the Democrat Party. It says 52% of Pennsylvania's voters say Governor Corbett doesn't deserve to be reelected. That's no surprise considering his policies. Now listen to this: slashing education, attacking workers' rights, and undetermining women's health. This was put out by the Democrat Party. It's an email they sent to me. And then it says over here, it's our goal today, not only do we want to defeat Corbett right now, we'll be in a great position for the decline at the end of the month. You can bet Corbett and his cronies are watching our numbers closely. Let's put them on notice that Pennsylvanians are fed up with this extreme agenda. This is the kind of nonsense we hear out of the Democrat Party, folks, and I'm a Democrat. I hate to say it, but I got to do something about it because it's just so sad that this party left us with a $4.2 billion debt. Then you had Corbett come in saying, look, we got to bring this state back on track for the people of Pennsylvania. That's why Dan Meuser is here today. Dan, you know, I get very frustrated, and forget being, as I said to you before, if this was a Republican, I'd be the same way. If this was a Republican Party. They left us with a $4.2 billion debt. Now we have Governor Corbett coming in, trying to put things together, trying to run this state as a business, and then we have to put up with this kind of nonsense. Right. First of all, your response.
Well, the response is that they have their talking points, but eventually the truth will get out. We've got the facts on our side. We've got the plan to move things forward on our side, and the governor has been executing that plan from day one. We are carrying out the plan that he campaigned upon, bringing fiscal discipline, about job creation, about not raising taxes, about working on bringing in the best companies so job opportunities are here, so kids that get educated here in Pennsylvania don't leave. And frankly, we're carrying out that plan. Yes, we came in with a $4.2 billion deficit. Yes, reductions needed to be made. Primarily, they were made in the areas of eligibility requirements. I mean, for instance, in the Department of Public Welfare, when Tom Corbett came in, the Department of Public Welfare was making up almost 41% of our overall budget. That's the second highest, or in fact the highest per capita of a budget in the country. We reduced that hundreds of millions of dollars only through eligibility requirements. And there's one other thing that you didn't add in there. Not only did we have a $4.2 billion deficit that we needed to deal with and make our state more competitive, we didn't have the stimulus dollars. Prior to that, they were using the stimulus dollars from the federal government, earmarked for shovel-ready projects. They were being used towards education. So when those stimulus dollars dried up, Governor Corbett never reduced our education. We only increased our basic education fund along the way. The stimulus dollars were no longer there, so you could easily, the fact is, the federal government reduced it, certainly not Governor Corbett. He increased it.
When you look at the facts, okay, and I've said this before, and it's like, you know, oh, you're for Corbett, you're for, I don't care. I'm for what is right. That's what I'm for. I'm for what is right. I'm for when a person says that he's going to do things and he does, he accomplishes them. As I said to you before, when he was Attorney General, he said he was going to do certain things. He accomplished every one of those objectives. Now the governor, maybe not the most public relations type person or a flamboyant person. He's a great guy to meet. He's a wholesome guy. He's an honest guy. He's a family guy. He has morals, and he's trying to put the state back. Will he make mistakes? Absolutely. okay? There's no question about it. But when I see this nonsense that's coming in from these wackos, okay, that are trying to say that he slashed education, how many times you have to tell people, wait a minute, look at the facts. Right. Every year you've been increasing. You talk about welfare, you talk about fraud. Everyone's so upset when they see the people upsetting or using the access cards and abusing. So you're addressing that situation. Let's talk about the pensions, which is going to be will probably bankrupt us if we don't do anything about them.
Sure. Well, again, you know what? Governor Corbett is about solutions, and many others in Harrisburg are about talking about the problem and not doing anything to solve it. We have a pension crisis that the governor recognizes. How others don't recognize it? Well, they're not doing the math. Right now, just from the general fund, we have $513 million that goes towards the state worker and the teachers' pension funds. And then, of course, for the teachers' funds, the property taxes make up quite a bit more there. In 5 years, that's going to go up almost 7 times from the general fund what it is today. It will be $3.35 billion in 5 years from our $30 billion, less than that today, $29 billion general fund. How that's not perceived as a crisis is, well, people are kidding themselves. The governor is not in the business of kidding himself. And the governor's solution is one that respects union members, respects teachers, respects contracts, but it also respects the Pennsylvania taxpayer. And that's a solution that he's looking to deliver.
Well, you see, Dan, you don't hear that too much about the fact that he respects union, respects teachers. What they're saying is, you know, look what he's trying to do. He's against the unions. He's against this. He's against that. And once again, the politics comes in. I'm all for debating. I'm all for a good debate when you're running for office. There's no question about it. What I get very upset about is what they try to do when you are trying to do your job, and that's
misrepresentations, right?
Yeah, and they're trying, even with these ads, trying to make Corbett look like he's doing everything wrong, and it just bothers me because people are out there working as hard as they can, paying these tax dollars, okay? Looking at revenue, you had said at a place you were speaking here in March this year that revenues have been increasing, okay, since he came into office. And we come after the break, Dan, I'd like for us to address, where the revenues are coming in, where the jobs are being created, and how we're beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I'm talking to Dan Meuser, folks. He is the Revenue Secretary of Revenue, happens to be from northeastern Pennsylvania. And another thing, folks, Google him up and see about Dan Meuser, okay? And you'll find that, that what Governor Corbett did, he surrounded himself by people who are professionals in every one of the areas that he put in. The most qualified people that he could put in there, he put in there. And even at that point, some people are not happy because they said, well, he was appointed because he was a political contributor, not realizing what the man did in his own business and made it a huge success. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us, folks. You're watching the Sam Lesante Show, SSPTV.com. For all you newcomers in the Harrisburg area, go to our website and you'll be able to see all of the programs we produce here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm very happy. I'm getting a lot of nice emails from the people in the Harrisburg area who are watching us on the Comcast cable system. That we say thank you very much. My guest today is Dan Meuser, folks, who is the Secretary of Revenue in the state of Pennsylvania, dealing with a $29 billion budget, you said, right, for this?
That's revenues. The governor's budget was actually at 28.4. The recent House budget at 28.3. So it'll end up coming in right about there.
Okay, so let's go back to when we started in 2011. You guys inherited, when I say you guys, the Republicans, the Corbett inherited a $4.2 billion debt. Okay, from the Democrat Party, which was Rendell at the time. Okay, so then you stated here that each year from 2011, state revenue has steadily increased. Right. Okay, let's talk about that.
Well, we certainly needed to get our fiscal house in order. We reduced wherever possible, but at the same note, the governor had to put programs into place that were growth oriented. And we did, reducing the phase out of the capital stock and franchise tax. That was a reduction in taxes up to this point of almost $500 million. actually total through today, the governor's reduced taxes on individuals and businesses by $600 million. By the end of next year, it will be over $1 billion. Yet, with all that occurring, we have also increased revenues by $2.5 billion over the course. Through growth initiatives, of course, through through the budget reductions, through, as I mentioned, eligibility and a few other areas, but also just through helping create an environment so business could flourish. Most of our revenues come in from sales tax and personal income taxes. The more we could help that grow, the more revenues will come in.
So the more people working, the better off we're at,
So
right?
true. Yeah. And we are now really seeing things grab hold in Pennsylvania. It's about to be announced that the unemployment rate has improved again. We've created almost 150,000 new jobs. Pennsylvania's population has increased, those in the workforce, so that has actually kept our unemployment rate at approximately the same as the national average. But if you really look at the numbers, our population has increased, our workforce population, while the national workforce population has decreased. So that's why our growth hasn't shown itself in those statistics so well. But we got a long way to go, but we are truly on the right track.
So when you're looking at telling success stories, okay, sometimes people who are very involved with business, they're not concerned about the nonsense that's going on. They're concerned about what the job is. Meanwhile, you have political people out there who want power again, who just want they just want power. And as we see from what the Democrat Party is putting out now with all these emails about Corbett's falling down, he's against women, he's against education, he's slashing all this. How they get away with this, I have no idea, because I don't mind reading something that's factual, Dan. Right. It must frustrate Corbett to no end.
Well, of course it does. The idea that he has reduced education funding, for instance, I mentioned that, he's actually increased it. The only thing that was missing, was lost, were the stimulus dollars. This coming year, including higher education, in this year's budget, 13-14, the Commonwealth will have the highest level of education spending ever in the history of the Commonwealth. And as far as other health services and human services spending, much of that is coming back, particularly in autism, in disability, in the form of block grants and direct funding, which the governor is very, very thankful for, because we are getting some revenue improvements that we're able to do that. But things did need to be ratcheted back, and we did that without removing funding for those most in need. And we're in a good position now to expand a little bit as far as spending goes, but primarily focus on growing the economy.
Okay, now again, there's two key issues that people are aware of, other than all the nitty-gritty work that you guys do. The privatizing of the liquor stores. Okay, we hear one side where some Democrats are saying it's going to cost 30,000 jobs. Okay, and when the lieutenant governor was on the show, says absolutely nonsense. Right. So once again, to review, why is it that we want to privatize the liquor stores?
Well, you remember last time I was on the show, we were talking about privatizing or bringing in a private manager to help run the lottery. And that got a virtual smear campaign where the facts, all of them got lost, saying we were selling the lottery to a foreign country. Absolutely ridiculous. None of that was true. All of that would have been illegal. And we'll see what happens there. Here, we have a dynamic where, true, there are 3,200 jobs at stake. We've got 600 or so retail stores throughout the Commonwealth. The governor, first of all, and 70% of Pennsylvanians agree, believe that the sale of wine and spirits is not a core function of government. As a matter of fact, 48 other states agree. 48 other states have privately run wine and spirit stores. The governor does feel the government does have a role, and that's enforcing the laws and in regulating the distribution of wine and spirits. And the numbers work. If we move forward with the governor's plan or even the House plan, and the Senate just released a plan yesterday, we will, the number of stores will likely be increased. Convenience will be delivered for people. There will be more access. It will create employment because we'll have close to 1,000 stores as opposed to today there's 600. So there are measures being taken for the state employees, tax credits in the form of $2,500 of tax credit for those experienced individuals to get work in the new private sector. The governor's very concerned about that. He's also gone out to state how we would do what we could to help them find jobs within the public sector if necessary, just as was done with the lottery. And again, the revenues are far better under a private sector of marketing and retailing, far better. Yeah. The taxes will stay the same, so all of that revenue will come in. And it's virtually a new industry. We presently don't have a wine and spirit industry in our.
You know, the interesting thing is, where I'm looking at product. Okay, you know, when you decrease taxes, people will go out and spend more. Okay, when you're looking at marketing your product, if you're competitive. Instead of people buying their liquor from New Jersey and different states, sometimes if you live by the border, you're going across to save.
Many people do that.
Tons of them do that. Right. So now what you're doing is you're going to be competitive, and what happens? You have sales tax, you have different taxes.
Lose it all.
You're losing all that. Now it's going to come back to the state. Why do you think there's such an uproar? And that lottery thing was another thing that was completely a total disaster of what they did. It was amazing. Why the press did not pick that up and run with it, Dan? Well, I know why, because 80% of them are liberal, and they're not going to present the facts, which is so sad. Yeah. But, you know.
It was just a terrible shame, the lottery issue, and we'll see. We're working to try to patch that up and for the benefit of older Pennsylvanians.
God bless you.
Yeah, we just keep on trying to move forward, stick with what we know is right thing to do, stick with the facts, and stick with what we believe is best for Pennsylvania. And this issue here, I think much of the pushback is really due to special interest. That you do have various special interest forces in play that are certainly making their voices heard. I heard an ad on the radio just coming up here saying how Governor Corbett's going to change everything and put a liquor store on every corner, and all these horrible things are going to happen. Look, I mean, those are scare tactics. It's not dealing with facts at all. We're trying to modernize, bring into the 21st century the ability to purchase wine and spirits, just like 48 other states have, and all the while it'll lower prices for consumers throughout Pennsylvania and will increase revenues. It's a win.
Sometimes, Dan, I think they really don't want to see anyone succeed. And if it was the reverse, if it was Republicans doing that to Democrats, I'd feel the same way as I feel now, is they don't want to see people succeed. Okay, when it comes time for election, then do your debating. What they're doing now, they are scared, to me. They're putting themselves in a position right now, knowing that if the governor succeeds in what he's doing, and he's succeeding, they're going to be in tough case because the state is going to be back on track, doing what it has to do, and they don't want to have another 4 years of a Republican governor. Folks, I'm talking to Secretary Dan Meuser. Folks, my email is sam@ssptv.com. I welcome all of your comments, and yes, I'm very strong in support of Corbett, because I've interviewed this guy a number of times, and I've heard what he said. What he said he was going to do for you, the citizens of Pennsylvania, he did, and he accomplished. Now, he's not maybe the best at public relations. I wish he was a little bit better at that because of all these smear tactics that's coming on. Let the man do his job. He'll have to be accountable for it at the end of 4 years. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante, and you're watching us on ssptv.com. So welcome to all our new viewers. Remember, go to our website. Every one of our shows are there. Very happy to say in the Hazleton area, for example, folks, our local News 13, seen by 75,000 people each day. That's in the greater Hazleton area. My guest, Secretary of Revenue, Dan Meuser. Dan, transportation funding.
Well, once again, our state has a problem that Governor Corbett wants to solve. The problem is that we have more roads, or second most roads, that the state must look after than second only to California. The second problem is because cars are getting more mileage these days, and we only receive funding for our transportation outside of the funding we get from the federal government from the motor license fund. and this primarily comes from the oil company franchise tax, as well as the liquid fuel tax. So we don't use the general fund dollars to upkeep and safeguard and improve our roads. We've got to get it from the motor license fund. That funding level has been flat. I know at Revenue we count those dollars. It's been stayed level for the last 5 years. So we need quite a bit more funding in order to fulfill the projects and create safety on our roads and bridges. So the governor has a plan to remove the artificial cap that was put on the oil company franchise tax over 20 years ago, which was set at $1.25. That will float. As that floats over time, it'll step up over years. What we will do is we will create revenues of almost $1 billion, perhaps more than that, within a 4 or 5 year period on an annual basis. And those dollars will be used to create, Sam, literally 50,000 jobs are the estimates, make all of our roads and bridges very, very safe, improve them, and make them much easier to travel on, and to really allow the Keystone State to be the distribution state that it's known for. It's a major project.
I'm sure it is. Moving into tax reform, you know, we've heard about the casinos and the lotteries, and we talked about this before, where people said, yeah, we've heard about this. Rendell said he was eliminating the school taxes and property taxes, et cetera. And then where are we at with tax reform?
Well, the governor's got a comprehensive tax reform plan. We've got many budgetary challenges, so we can't be as aggressive as we'd like to be, but we have a gradual, sensible, reasonable approach to lowering the cost of doing business for job creators in Pennsylvania. And that's very important. We continue to be ranked number 38, number 39, number 40 as far as where places would want to expand their business or move their business. And a lot of that is due, for instance, to we have a corporate net income tax that's really the highest in the country. Many say it's second highest in the country for corporations to do business in the Commonwealth. That needs to come down. Technology companies and other startup corporations and companies from Asia and Europe and everywhere else who want to move to Pennsylvania are looking at that 9.99 rate and saying, no thanks, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go to North Carolina. I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to Virginia. The governor, under this plan, we're creating predictability over the next number of years. We need to start it now. We can change that. By lowering taxes, we will increase jobs, we will increase personal income growth, and we will increase revenues along the way. It's the right plan, and we're working on it right now with the legislator.
Dan, when you had your business and you started from scratch, and I told people to Google you, they'll know what your business was. We always look in business, no matter what it is, for accountability. Okay, accountability is so very important. And the people are not stupid. I know they prey on senior citizens and they try to tell them that the world's coming to an end and you got to do this. And now they're realizing that it's not the case. But accountability, okay? And so what I said before, we got 2 minutes left. When you, at the end of 4 years, that's where your accountability is. That's right. Okay? And that's where I think the direction of this administration is going. Am I correct?
Honestly, yeah, there's a few words that I would use to best describe Tom Corbett. Honesty first comes to mind. Accountability. That's what he works toward. Honesty is probably his personal character. Accountability. He says what he's going to do, and he has no problem with the results speaking for themselves. We, as you mentioned, probably need to be speaking a little louder for ourselves. We've got an excellent communications department and all, but you know what? We need to be better expressing what it is that we're doing and blow our own horn.
He's too nice. Governor Corbett is too nice, yeah. And he's too nice of a guy. And what I say is that, you know, when someone hits you with a BB gun, you hit him with a cannon. And I think and I'm not picking on the Democrat Party. I'm talking about these emails that come to me, okay? Why they send them to me, I have no idea. But how they lie on these and distort, and you can see that they're nervous. They're concerned that this guy is being successful.
So.
You got about 30 seconds left. What do you want to tell our viewers?
Well, I would just say on that same point, I used to say in business, an educated customer was our best customer. I firmly believe that an educated constituent, an educated voter will be with Tom Corbett. we're working on things that sure, they were difficult initially, but now we should really start seeing many more of the results pay off. And, you know, the whole idea of being in public service is to help the most number of people in Pennsylvania, help the most number of Pennsylvania families possible. And that's what the governor's objective is, and it certainly is mine.
Dan, thanks for coming on the show. I always appreciate it. Dan Meuser, Secretary of Revenue. Folks, let me ask you a question. Let's assume someone gives you $100 every week. And then the next month, they give you $110 every week. Then the month after that, they give you $120 a week. Does that mean you're making more money? I think it is. Well, the state of education, they've been giving us more money every year. So don't listen to all of the nonsense you hear. Listen to facts. Remember, he has to be accountable in 2 years. Thanks for staying with us. Remember, ssptv.com 24/7. We'll see you next time.